1. Allow me to set the scene. Since the C-19 hit us, we've been bare-bones staff, less than half capacity. Our tables were close together before everything. We went from 19 tables, 52 seats, 8 bar seats, to 10 tables, 30 seats, 4 bar seats. It's 11:45 a.m. on Wednesday, December 9th, and it's my first day back after my Monday-Tuesday weekend. Besides one of the other managers who comes in to do cash-outs, I am the only front of house. I am the host, server, bartender, floor manager, and social media manager all at once. I don't mind the extra roles, as it's been so dead, and with only 1 or 2 groups it's easily manageable. Before I'm finished setting up or even considering unlocking the doors, the landlord of the location is knocking on the window, trying to get their rent for the month. I scramble around the restaurant checking chef's office, his drawer of everything not cooking related that's on the line. The actual office, the tills, our GM's clipboard everywhere. Eventually, I go out and say I don't know where it is, and she will have to wait while I get a text back from the owners. While I'm doing this, customers walk in the door behind me before I have a chance to tell them we're not open. Well, I'm not going to make them stand at the door and wait, so I get them to a table while I finish my setup, and get stared down by the landlord. After my setup is done, other manager walks in at noon, when we're supposed to be open, and knows where the rent check usually is. And of course it's underneath the cutlery bins by the bar. Where else could it be? After getting the table's order in and their drinks made, I pop out for a quick vape break, which is what I usually do as I unlock the door. I discover the worst way that I'm burning cotton into my lungs instead of getting my sweet nicotine. I walk back in with tears at the corner of my eyes as I hold back the coughing, because. I'm going straight to the bar to pour myself a water from the gun for my current asphyxiation situation. And that's when I found it. A cockroach, a little larger than my thumbnail, sitting on the soda gun. I nearly grabbed it without noticing. I call over the manager. Hey, come take a look at this. My table is 10 feet away and easily within earshot, and I hadn't adjusted the music volume in the restaurant yet. He walks over, sees me pointing, and asks, "What is that?" In the absolute quietest whisper I could be sure he would hear, I tell him what it is. I've never dealt with him before, but he has. This is the first one in the restaurant ever. GM and chef get texted right away, and of course, it's an adult roach, and the adult roaches lay eggs. Best cook in the world then walks out to get a refill in his coffee and acts quickly and effectively like a ninja to trap it in a 500ml. He later cleanses it with fire. The time is now 12:03 p.m. Things go on as usual, except my poor eyesight is suddenly as sharp as an eagle's looking for roaches. Everything gets pulled apart and ripped open between lunch and dinner. It's clean. Phew. It's now been a while, and we've determined that the critter hitchhiked in on a person or product, and we were lucky to find it ASAP. I wouldn't be sharing it otherwise, I'd probably just be cleaning. What are your seriously not now moments in 2020? 2. Today I'm going to tell you the story of the first official complaint I ever had while working as a server. It happened about 3 to 4 years ago, so I might be a bit unclear. Background. This story happened when I was working in the summer when I was finished with my final school exams. I finished my exams around May and worked until the summer break at the restaurant where I still work today. At the time, the kitchen would close on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. if it wasn't very busy. This story happened on a weekday, so we would close the kitchen at 7. Also, this was in the Netherlands. I don't know if that would be relevant anywhere in the story, but just to be sure, I want to mention it anyway. Now on to the story. On this particular day, I would open and close by myself with some help from the kitchen. It was quite warm outside, so it was rather busy that day. During the afternoon, some of my colleagues came to help, and would leave again somewhere in the day. Everything went well that day. No problems at all. As you all know, customers know when you're trying to close, and they come in right when you're almost finished. That day I did as instructed by my boss previously, and turned off the ice cream machine, and started cleaning a little bit already. It was around 6:55 p.m., and a pair of 2 came in. Personally, I wasn't really that annoyed, because I still had some preparation work to do for the next day. The kitchen, however, was pretty annoyed by it, as they already, stupidly in my opinion, turned off most of their equipment, thinking there wouldn't be any new customers coming in. As the rule stated, if a guest comes in before 7 and they still want to eat, the kitchen must accommodate. It doesn't matter if they order at 7:05 or 7:45, we must accommodate their needs. I seat them and I tell them that we're close to closing, but it's not a problem. I said the ice cream machine is turned off. I can turn it on if you want. It will take about 15 minutes though. So please let me know if you want ice cream later so I can turn it on. They didn't want any ice cream, so it was fine. I thank them and give them their menus, give them some time to order and everything. You guys know how it goes. They both order some food, which gets out rather quick considering the kitchen was pretty much closed already. I was already cleaning some stuff at the bar area and on the outside terrace, as it's pretty much necessary to be able to close around 8 p.m. When they were eating, I went over to the table once and asked if everything was fine. Everything was fine. The food was good and their drinks were full, so they were happy. After a while, I can see they're finished, so I go to pick up their dirty plates and the small bowl of fries they have on the table. There was still one fry in the bowl, which I couldn't see, so they said they weren't finished eating yet. I apologize and go back to cleaning. When I come back a few minutes later to pick up their stuff, this guy blew up at me. He said I was trying to rush them so I could go home early. I wasn't, and I was giving them poor service because of it. He starts telling me stories of waiters he had before who were also rushing him, and how he made them work extra hard, but how he would spare me. He also said he still wanted ice cream, but his wife talked him out of it, so I was very lucky, all things considered. I asked him if he wanted me to turn on the ice cream machine, and I could give him some anyways. It would only take 15 minutes. He declined, but he did, however, want to make a complaint about me. He would come back the next day in the morning so he could file an official complaint to my boss, who he said he knew her really well. I told him that was okay, and that I would see him tomorrow. They leave. I clean and close as required, call my boss about what happened to inform them, and go home. The day after they come back again, I give them some coffee on the house, and they talk to my boss about it. My boss tells me to come over to them, says they usually don't have these problems with me, how they are satisfied with my work, and basically don't believe them. As you can imagine, they were not happy, but because my boss was there, they didn't say anything about it anymore. I apologize, they leave and proceed to come back pretty much every day over the next week and act like we are best friends. So that's pretty much the story of my first official complaint. 3. This is from maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I worked at a hotel which held a lot of big events. I was just thinking about this earlier and wanted to share. It was a lunch for a big event, maybe 400 or 500 people, lots of posh folk and especially older folk. I was pouring wine for the table of 12 ladies, all of them older except one. I got to the younger girl. She looked maybe 14 to 16, so I ID'd her. She told me she doesn't have ID and she'd be quite happy to just have an orange juice. I smiled and told her I'll go get that for her right away. Then I hear, "How dare you ask my granddaughter for identification?" I notice this older woman sitting beside the girl. I'll just refer to her as Gran. "I'll have you know she is 19. I was there when she was born, and I know exactly what age she is." "I'm so sorry, ma'am. We have a Challenge 25 policy. If an individual looks under the age of 25, we must request proof of age." "It's okay, Gran. I just want an orange juice anyway." "This is disgraceful service. My granddaughter is 19, and she should be allowed a glass of wine. I want to speak to your manager." "I'll get my manager and the orange juice for you right away, ladies. Again, my apologies." I get the girl the orange juice, and my manager comes over and backs me up on Challenge 25. The girl keeps apologizing for her grandmother and says she wanted an orange juice anyway. The grandmother requested to have a different server. Bye-bye me. And now the second story from this shift. I got swapped to a table which I was the third server for the party had that day. The waiter who swapped with me was covering that table after its original waitress. It was only her second or third shift and she was 16. I felt so bad for her, who broke down crying due to this lovely customer. So I was obviously so excited to be getting moved to this table. I was topping up their water and I pick up this lady's glass and she instantly puts her hand on top of her head, like the back of her hand was flat against the top of her head. Her fingers were straight, palm facing up. Looked odd, but okay. Set the glass down after I filled it up, moved to the next person at the table and started filling up their water. And then I hear the hand-on-head lady saying,
"Excuse me, young lady, why didn't you place this glass directly into my hand? Do you even know how disrespectful you're being?"
"I'm sorry, madam. I didn't realize you wanted me to pass you the glass."
"Didn't you see my hand?"
"It was on top of your head. I didn't realize you wanted me to pass it to you. I'm sorry. It likely would have spilled if I put it in your hand when your hand was on top of your head like that."
"I'll have you know I actually have painkillers to take, and you are preventing me from taking my medicine. I will be submitting an official complaint about you."
I, also having taken a lot of painkillers as I have a lot of issues with my joints and grinning through it trying to pretend I'm not in a fuck ton of pain, which just makes service all the more fun. "Madam, I think there's been a miscommunication. I didn't place the glass in your hand, as your hand was flat on top of your head with no communication. Hence, I did not know you were trying to request for me to pass you the glass. Also, if I passed you the glass with your hand in this position, it would have likely spilled all over you and ruined your day. I have filled your water glass, and have in no way impacted your ability to take your painkillers. Now, would you like to speak to my manager?"
"What is your name?"
I tell her my name.
"Well, I don't need to speak to your manager. I will be submitting an official formal complaint against you. This entire day has been awful. The service has been disgraceful. The food has been disgusting. And the experience has been entirely awful for what we paid. And you should fix it. And I will be leaving a bad review."
I'm making like £7 an hour and not getting to keep my tips, as if I can fix the event in any way. "I'm sorry to hear you feel that way, madam. Are you sure you wouldn't like to speak to my manager? Perhaps she could resolve this for you in some way, and you could submit a complaint to her." My manager is amazing, and would be extremely professional, strict but fair, and if I'm in the right about something, she would stick up for me.
"No, I will submit an official formal complaint about this. We would like to leave now. You will open that door for us."
Points to a fire exit just leaving, and making her entire table of 12 people leave not even halfway into the event they prepaid for. I open the fire exit door. "Goodbye, ladies. I hope you have a wonderful day." I told my manager, and she laughed about the official formal complaint. Neither of us had a clue what that meant, and if she wanted to complain, she should have complained to a manager. I kind of wish I told her where to shove it, because that was Saturday, and I started a new job on Monday. Sometimes I wonder if she's still out there terrorizing waitresses for stupid things, and if she always likes things to be passed to her on top of her head. And wonder if she'd do the same for a hot drink. Just wanted to share as it was on my mind. 4. So just to set up a little context, at my pub our seating is split between stage, where we sometimes have live music, bistro, and a separate sports bar. We're also in a state that hasn't had a COVID case in 2 months, so everything's sort of back to normal, and we get occasionally packed on weekends. Mega Karen had requested the stage, which we don't do bookings for. We told Mega Karen this and put her in the bistro, as Mega Karen insisted on the booking anyway, despite telling us she intended to sit in the stage seating. Her booking was for 6 p.m, and we normally hold those bookings for 15 minutes because we're usually packed, which we let people know. At 6:22 I called Mega Karen and she didn't answer her phone, so I had to give away her table. Calling isn't something we always do, but because it was a busy night with a packed car park, I figured I'd call to make sure she wasn't just looking for somewhere to park, since that does happen. At 6:40, her party starts trickling in. The first guy comes in and tells me he has a booking for Mega Karen, and I explain he's 40 minutes late, so we had to give away the table. And he says, "We were told to arrive at 6:30. So I let him know he was probably going to be able to find seating in the sports bar, and he let me know Mega Karen had texted him back that her booking was for 7. Nope. Over the next 30 minutes, more of her group come in, which is still late for what she told people, and we directed them over to the sports bar. Eventually, at 7:30, Mega Karen finally showed up. Our new host comes and gets me to let me know Mega Karen is here. Great. So I went up to her with a friendly, "Hello," best customer service face, and she immediately snaps back with, "So apparently my booking's being given away?" And I come back with, "Yes, your 6 p.m. booking was given away. We tried to contact you, but no one answered, so we had to give the booking away."
"But my booking was for 7 p.m.
I apologize for any miscommunication, but our system says your booking is for 6, so we had to give it away because you were late.
"But we weren't late. We had people arriving since 6:30.
I'm getting pretty annoyed at this point because she's not listening and she's yelling, and I don't want to deal with that shit. So I explained, again, that her booking was for 6 p.m., and that 6:30 would have also been too late for her booking, and that again I had called her at 6:22 and she didn't answer, and that she could join her group in the sports bar. Well, this set Mega Karen off.
"I've been on my phone all bloody day. Nobody's called me."
So I pulled up her guest profile, turned the screen towards her and asked if that was her phone number, which she confirmed it was, and again she said, "I've been on my phone all day. No one has called me." So I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Ma'am, I am the person that called you. Look, I apologize that you didn't have a signal or whatever, and that it didn't come through on your phone. But I called you from my end and it did go through to your voicemail. I apologize that there was a mix-up on the time, but there is nothing I can do. There are no more tables. You'll have to go to the sports bar." To be honest, my tone was probably a bit severe, but I was sick of dealing with a shrill seagull in a dress. And now she decided it was time to recite the song of her people.
"Can I speak to your manager?"
And I said absolutely. Luckily, my amazing manager has my back, and when Karen tried to throw me under the bus, my manager told her that if I say I called her, then that's what happened. Unfortunately, my manager managed to find them a table. A group of locals were spread out across 3 bar tables, and she asked them very nicely to steal one of theirs. When I asked the host that made the booking on the phone, she said Mega Karen told her they'd be arriving from 6, so the booking was made for 6. Here's hoping Mega Karen and her over 40 singles group decides to go to a different pub for their next outing. 5. I have been working at a cheap American restaurant for the past 3 years. I was full-time there until last year. I got a second job at a much more upscale, fine dining location, making a ton more money. The newer job is only open in the evening, so I kept both jobs, working the crappy one in the mornings and the nicer one at night. Over the past 2 years, my morning job has been struggling so hard to find and keep employees due to Hurricane Michael, and then the pandemic happened, and made it even worse with unemployment and everyone wanting to sit at home and collect that instead of working. And then the GM, at crappy location, got fired for sexual harassment, which was the final straw in that workplace for me. He was the binding glue holding that place together, and then all of a sudden he's gone. The only reason I stayed after that was because it was a second job for me and produced roughly $300 to $400 a week for me working lunches, but mainly for the front of house manager. She's a good old-time friend of mine, and I felt obligated to stay there for her sake. So my evening job is crazy awesome, make tons of money, fun place to work at. They've got all their shit together. The kitchen is beast mode. Just an overall great work environment and pay. And everyone from my morning job knows it too. Over the past month, working at the crappy dinner spot, and all the chaos and stress that came with it, has only been getting worse for everyone. I had some people mention to me if my other location was hiring. People always would ask me about my evening job and if they're hiring, but I would always just shut it down because no way would I bring said unexperienced person to my other job, just based on the experience and things I witnessed personally coming from them. But my evening job, for whatever reason, had a ton of openings. Servers, buzzers, food runners, barbacks, and even a GM and assistant manager. Both are retired within 2 weeks of each other, recently with short notice. So, all of a sudden, my better job needs people and they set up a referral program. If I refer someone and they stay for 60 days, I get $100. And if they stay for 120 days, I get another $100. I started responding differently to my morning coworkers inquiring about jobs. I had 3 people approach me, a server, a host, essentially morning jobs busboy, and even my friend who is the front of house manager asking if we were hiring. All three of these people were super awesome and would fit perfectly at my evening job. So I told them to apply and tell them that I referred them. They all got interviews and have all been hired. They all approached me, I never went to them about it. My manager friend hasn't technically been hired yet, but has gone to the evening spot for an observation shift. She also hasn't let the morning job know about it either. But they absolutely do know the other two employees up and left, and they found out they went to my evening job. The final straw for my morning job was when I went and approached the one and only person that I asked if they wanted a better job. Everyone else came to me. He's a hard-working cook and the evening location could use him, so I told him and he interviewed and got the job. When he went into the morning spot and told them he was going to start working at a new spot and found out where, the kitchen manager was livid and removed me from the schedule. I got a call from my manager friend, the one getting hired as well, to inform me of all this. The insane part is how awkward it'll be for her when she puts in her 2 weeks' notice. She called me 2 days ago to tell me all this. She essentially told me I was fired for scalping their employees, per the kitchen manager's request. She knew I didn't give a shit and would be fine without that job. I laughed and said, "So, are you firing me?" To which she replied, "Yes." I then smirked and giggled and replied, "Okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow night." Last night was her first night, as well as a new cook I got hired, and my other two friends I got jobs there as well. It was a nice feeling to see them all actually happy and excited to be at work and actually making some money. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 131. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Day late, I hope not $1 short, but here we are, hurrah! I hope you all enjoyed yesterday's video. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and tomorrow's also. I always hope that. Okay, no shoutouts. Lovely Scottish weather we had yesterday. It was actually kind of sunny when I went out. I thought, okay, it's time to get some groceries, so I'll go out. I took my bike out just, to get up and down the street a bit quicker. I always fool myself and tell myself, no, it's for the exercise, but it's really just because it gets the trip done quicker. And, of course, it was snowing by the time I came back. Not fun riding a bike while it's snowing. Although it is good that the mask keeps the snow out your mouth, but it doesn't keep it out your eyes. Ah, well. Okay, I'm feeling the urge to do a stream today. I don't know if I will. Maybe I've been streaming a bit too much recently. We'll see. Right now it's about 4:15. This video will probably be up by 6 p.m, I think. Well, we'll see. We'll see if the mood takes me. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.